franktalks.com.
Check out the Frank Talks Relationships column currently running in the Suburban Newspaper online magazine. To read more, please visit thesuburban.com.
Need help with love, sex, dating, or relationship issues? Help from Frank Kermit, the best-selling author and Canada's most international relationship coach, is only a click away at franktalks.com.
Remember to sign up for the Speed Dating Advice newsletter and get weekly tips to increase your matches. Learn every speed dating secret that speed dating companies don't want you to know. Sign up at franktalks.com now.
Relationships, sex, passion with Dr. Laurie Betito. Hear the show live weeknights 10 to 11 on CJAD 800.
Welcome to Passion, a show about love, sex, and relationships. Tonight on Passion, Dating Dilemmas. It is our regular monthly feature where we feature Frank Kermit, who is a dating coach at franktalks.com. He has written many books. In fact, he's working on his 14th book right now as we speak, and that book is 101 Great First Dates, so conversations to have on a first date. We can talk about that, but more importantly, he's here to answer your questions, and people have sent in their questions through Facebook and other means and through our text messaging. So if you want to talk to Frank, if you have a dating question for him, 514-800 to text in that question, or you can call in at 514-790-0800. And in fact, one caller tonight will get a ticket to an event. Frank is speaking on Sunday, June 28th. Boy, this is far in advance.
Far in advance.
Yeah. But it's booking up, which is why I think people are scheduling their stuff. But Sunday, June 28th, if you know you're going to be in town, because sometimes it's not always so easy to know, we'll be speaking about managing casual sex between friends and turning a friends with benefit into a partner. So that's taking place. And that's presented by Solo A Duo. You can go check out their. I think they have things every Sunday, right?
That's
Something
right.
Like that.
They have conferences happening every Sunday
for single folks. Right. And so go to the website soloaduo.com. In the meantime, you can give a call here 514-790-0800 if you have any questions about anything, whether you want to talk about casual sex between friends, whether you want to talk about first dates, whatever dilemma or issue or question you have regarding dating, tonight is certainly the night to be doing this with Frank here in studio. So first question, what's the deal with men in commitments looking to other women? If you're not happy in your current relationship and it's not fixable, then move on. But if you claim to, quote, love your significant other, don't bother me. Why are men doing this? Boy, that's the question of infidelity.
That's
Mistresses.
a question of infidelity. Why are men doing this? Well, both men and women
are doing this.
It's not
true.
just the men.
Right.
Why? Because, well, first of all, there's always somebody readily available to accommodate them. People who really want to cheat can find it. I mean, you have entire dating websites dedicated to that.
True. That's
so
true.
It's not a question of why they're doing it. We know why they're doing it. Everybody's doing it for their own reasons.
Right.
But,
and it's not always, as people think, that because they're not getting any sex at home.
No, it could be completely the opposite. They
That's
could be getting really great sex at home, and they're seeking something on the side for other reasons.
Yeah, sometimes thrill, sometimes attention, sometimes whatever.
Sometimes it's the taboo of it.
Mm-hmm.
And there are couples who have a don't ask, don't tell policy.
Is that usually explicit in a relationship? The don't ask, don't tell? Or do you, how do you know that is exactly what's happening?
Some couples do talk about it. They basically say to each other, look, I just don't want to know. If you do something, I just don't want to know. Right. Keep me out of it. Be discreet. I'm not asking you to do it. I'm hoping you won't do it. But if you do it, I just don't want to hear about it. And
most people don't think of that though as a, hey, I don't mind if you have a double life. Like go, they don't want you to have a mistress or anything.
It's not a question of. It's more along the lines of, if it happens, I don't want to have to deal with the disruption that would cause if I have to find out. I'd rather just not know.
Right.
And some couples, they get together for a matter of convenience. They didn't get together because they're madly in love. It just seemed like a good idea at the time. It could be an arrangement of sorts.
But that's not the usual case for infidelity.
It's not the usual case, but it does fall within that category.
Okay. So it's not just men, guys, and it's true. Statistically, we're seeing that women, even though men do cheat more often than women do, we're seeing those numbers, that gap, shortening, like, or whatever, narrowing, I should say. We have Julie online. Hi, Julie.
Hi, Dr. Laurie.
Hi.
Quick question. I have a ladies' dinner club that we have a nice gourmet meal every Friday night. Now, we're all in our 50s.
Okay.
But we're trying to figure out, how do we meet anybody?
Don't just hang out with the women.
Yeah, pretty much.
I know, but you know what? I know. That's what I'm asking.
You got to go elsewhere. Where do you guys ever go out?
Well, we go to restaurants. We go downtown. We go to the Plateau. We go to Saint Laurent. But there's like 10 of us that we go out every Friday night.
I think that's the impediment, isn't it? Like, isn't that having an effect on whether you're meeting someone? Is any guy going to approach 10 women at a time?
How many guys who are already nervous enough about approaching one woman are going to approach a table to talk to any particular woman?
Well, so then you tell me, doctor, what's the suggestion that I should do? That we should we split up and do like two people at a table?
When you're meeting up for dinner, meet up as a group. That's fine.
Okay.
Afterwards, I'm going to suggest you play some games.
Okay.
And the game is, you're going to look at one of your friends and say, okay, which guy in here do you think is really cute?
Okay.
And then you will encourage each other to say, oh, you find that guy cute? Go next to him, go say hello.
Okay.
And then you basically encourage one another to make yourselves available to be approached.
But like you said, we're not 20, we're in our 50s.
So what? And we're not telling you to go approach a 20-year-old necessarily.
Okay.
Look,
so you think we should just separate?
Well, what do you have to lose, though? It's not. But I like the idea of what Frank is saying is to kind of challenge each other with, you see somebody that is appealing to you, you be the one who approaches them. Have you ever thought of that?
No, that's well. I'm the outgoing one out of the whole group.
So show them the way.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Frank, did you want to add anything more to that? Okay, thanks, Julie. Did you want to add more to that?
Yeah, the one thing I want to add is that older women tend to do this a lot. They worry way too much what other people might think.
Okay.
Nobody cares if you end up alone. That's the first rule of reality here. Nobody cares about your problems. Nobody cares if you end up alone and don't like it. And if you're going to approach somebody and somebody sees you doing it, oh well, now you know what it's like for a man who has to approach. That's the reality of it. If you don't want to be alone, if you want to meet somebody, be proactive.
See, at this point, what does a person have to lose? That's what I'm saying, right? So let's say you get rejected or whatever. So what? At least you tried.
But not everybody can handle the rejection. Some people are worried about the embarrassment of the people around them. Being laughed at, there's a fear of being laughed at. That's more than a fear of death.
Right.
A fear of public speaking falls into this.
Right.
And
so
look,
if you have a lot of anxieties, obviously that approach doesn't work.
Well, it just makes it a bit more challenging, but you can overcome that. And the rule I tell people to do is, don't worry about going and making the other person like you. Go up to them and get to know them and find out what role they can play in your life. Changing that perspective makes things so much easier.
Rather than, so changing your expectation of, oh, I've got to make sure they like me.
Yeah, forget, you don't want them to like you. That's not your goal. Your goal is to go up to them and say, what role can they play in my life? Let me find out about them.
Meaning what? Like,
well, can they be a friend to me? Mm-hmm. Can they be a potential lover? Can they be somebody that I would have a fling with? Is it someone I would want something more serious with? Is it someone that I would only have as a friend with benefits? I have to get to know them to find out where I would put them in my life. Once you become the interviewer, once you go there and say, I'm here to find out about you. I want to know as much as I can about you to figure out if I had a role in my life for you, what would it be? It changes the entire dynamic because you're no longer going there.
You're in control now.
Yes, you're no longer going there looking for validation. You're going there looking to find out how these other people that you're meeting can enhance your life in some way.
Okay, there you go. Someone pointed out here, how can you keep saying more men cheat than women? Who are these men cheating with? If your statistics are right, there are some real sluts out there who are having multiple affairs with lots of men. Except the statistics are the statistics.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm not saying they're exactly accurate necessarily.
But we both know that women tend not to talk about it more. They're a lot more discreet. And I think that the surveys, when they are facing a survey, they may not be as honest as men are. Because men will talk about it as, yeah, well, of course, I'm getting all this and it makes me look good.
Right.
But women won't. So I would think that
they're more equal than.
I don't think the statistics portray an accurate
right.
presentation.
No, I'll have to agree with you both on that. Absolutely. And it's true if you look at the numbers, right? If the numbers don't make sense necessarily. So, Dr. Laurie, how can... this is an operation. Talking about an operation that isn't... No, not related to this. I'll look at it after. For a first encounter, why do men... Oh, wait, we got to go to break. Dave's looking at me like, hello, wake up. All right, we will continue our dating dilemmas coming up next year on Passion.
You're listening to Passion with Dr. Laurie Betito, the podcast. Hear the show live weeknights 10 to 11 on CJAD 800.
Dating dilemmas tonight on the program. Frank Kermit joins me. Texter says it can still be men cheat more as they go to hookers and massage. So one woman for many men. That's also true. There are different forms of infidelity. True. So yes, I agree with you. You could have one woman with many, many guys and many guys cheating with one woman. Absolutely. So, I'm still convinced that men do it more than women, but the gap is still narrowing and we do it for different reasons. So, and I think more women cheat. More the women who cheat are having affairs, and men who often cheat are doing it more casually. Less women go to massage parlors just to get off, and whereas there are millions of men who do that. I mean, you could tell just by the numbers of massage parlors that are out there.
When men cheat, they do it more for the physical satisfaction of sex.
And women for the attention.
And women do it for the emotional satisfaction.
Right. And the attention that they can get and the validation and all of that. So, it does make sense. So, Texter, for a first encounter, why do men decide they like or dislike a woman in the first 30 seconds as opposed to women who need a few dates to decide if the mate is suitable? My question is suitable for what?
Yeah, this is...
Maybe in 30 seconds, somebody can decide you're suitable for sex, not necessarily...
I'm very put off by this question because it's making a lot of assumptions. First of all, if a guy is going to reject a woman in the first 30 seconds, he was basically looking for sex immediately. And when he says, okay, she's not my type, he cuts it and ends it right there.
Right.
Whereas if a woman is going out on a date and she may not necessarily be looking for sex, she can get sex anytime she wants. She's a woman. She's on the receiving end of sexual tension. She is looking for some kind of relationship, maybe depending on what her mood is, depending on her situation. So she's willing and she has the motivation to give it a chance.
And she's going to take the time to find out.
Well, she has a lot to risk too. If she decides to commit to the wrong guy, she loses out on time. Right. And time is not, it's very different between men and women. If a guy's just looking for sex and he's going to do that, I mean, there's enough sex industry available that if that's all he wants and he's looking for a certain look, he doesn't need to go out on a date.
Right.
So I think that would answer the question, but I don't think that all men going on dates would make that assessment in the first 30 seconds. I think there's a specific group of guys who are going out for one reason.
Right. Here's an interesting rant a little bit. I refuse to have sex with a man because he paid for dinner. This is from a woman. How dare a man expect oral sex because he paid for dinner and on a first date? He came straight out and stated it. Needless to say, we did not go out again, and it is not an isolated incident. The problem today is sex is too easily accessible. There is lack of respect. Why does this happen? So this happened to this person.
This happened to this person, and
it doesn't happen to every person.
No, it doesn't happen to every person. There's a couple of things that I've been seeing on the dating scene. Number one is the issue of consent has become very, very much in the forefront.
Okay.
And because of the issue of consent, people want to just lay all their cards on the table and talk about their expectations. So some people will say, look, it's the third date. I'm expecting something. I'm going to be making a move on you. I'm letting you know now. So if you don't want to do anything, I won't show up.
Really?
Yeah. Because they don't want to be in a position to have their time wasted, and they don't want to be in a position where they make a move and make somebody feel uncomfortable. So because consent has come to the forefront now, people are being way more honest, maybe a bit too blunt about their expectations. With that said, I'm not a fan of what happened here. The guy is saying, well, I paid for dinner, so I should get oral sex.
Not a fan.
No, this is, in all honesty, my gut is telling me this is probably a guy that frequents escorts, because it's all about being upfront, negotiation. I'll pay you for this and that. And maybe he's trying.
This is an exchange kind of thing.
Yeah, this is probably somebody who's been involved in that type of arrangement. He's probably somebody who goes to escorts a lot.
Maybe, or he's just a jerk who's trying to get some.
My gut is telling me this guy is just socially uncalibrated. And he thinks that this is okay because he dates so many dates. He
pays for.
He pays for escorts, and he's just thinking, well, if it works over there, it's going to work over here. That's what I think is going on there.
Well, let us know what you think here on Dating Dilemmas on Passion on CJD 800.
You're listening to Passion with Dr. Laurie Betito, the podcast. Hear the show live weeknights 10 to 11 on CJAD 800.
Dating Dilemmas tonight on the program. Frank Kermit is here to answer your questions about dating. Samantha, hi, you have a question?
Hi. My question is it true that men fall in love faster than women?
I just saw research on that. Is that what you're referring to? There was a research paper that I think I mentioned here on the program that does show that that men do fall in love faster than women. But I also wonder if they fall out of love faster too. I don't know.
Okay. Is it because it's like that, or is it because they're just thinking of their loins?
That's a good question, but I don't think it has to do with their loins and more with their heart. I think when they evaluated that, they really looked at the feelings they had in their hearts rather than the falling in lust part. But maybe they do. Maybe Samantha has a point that there's a connection between or a feeling between lust and love that gets confused. Let's hear what Frank has to say, Samantha. Thanks for calling.
I disagree with that simply because men have no problem making the distinction between sex and love. They can have sex and not be in love. But when they find a woman that meets all their emotional needs, they're quick to say, wow, this is the one I want.
Okay.
When a man decides that he wants you, he doesn't let anything stop. He doesn't let anything stop him. Nothing gets in his way. He wants to be with you. And because he does not confuse sex and love, it's much easier for him and faster for him that when he figures out that's the one I want, I'm not confused because I know what lust is. I have it all the time. This is more than lust. And because he has that, that's what makes it faster.
So why more than women?
Because for women, sometimes they're the ones who confuse sex with love. Well, if we're having sex and I feel feelings of attachment, that must be love. How often does it happen? I mean, in your practice,
true. No, you're right. What you say is actually true. I think it is women who have trouble distinguishing between sex, lust, and love.
And because men don't have that trouble, when they do feel it, it looks like they're falling in love faster. But people fall in love at exactly the same speed. The perception is different.
Good point.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm actually agreeing with you tonight. Okay, no, I'm getting
rare occurrence.
No, not a rare occurrence.
The moon is
but I do
in the seventh sky.
But no, but it's true. You just made me think of that distinction. I never actually thought about it in terms of a gender difference, but thank you, Samantha, for bringing that up because that was a great question. News is next, and then more of your questions. Lots of text messages to get through tonight here on Dating Dilemmas on CJD 800.
You're listening to Passion with Dr. Laurie Betito, the podcast. Hear the show live weeknights 10 to 11 on CJAD 800.
Dating Dilemmas tonight on the program. So we're not actually talking about sex. We're talking about dating, the precursor to sex. Right?
A little bit of everything.
A little bit of it all. Frank Kermit joins me. He is the author of many books. He is known worldwide for his dating coaching, in fact, and he's working on his, 14th book?
My 14th book.
You are one prolific guy.
Yeah.
101 great first dates. So conversation topics. What to say on a first date. People are often kind of get confused as to what they think they should talk about. Maybe you don't want to share all of your skeletons in your closet on that first date. But we could talk about that. But first, before we do that, we have to get to answering some of our texts. You can get right in touch with us, 514-800 if you want to text in. But if you'd like to call in, 514-790-0800. Texter says, I've always had trouble approaching a woman when she's in a group. Is it ever possible to meet her without embarrassing myself? Isn't that interesting that we initially had the caller about being in a group? There's the answer.
This is exactly the point that I was trying to make. I believe it was Julie who asked about that. Good for Julie for calling in. Something I like to tell women is that their friends are one of the biggest reasons they're still single. Because you hang out with your friends as opposed to finding a partner a priority.
Okay, but sometimes there's a kind of a fear of going out alone.
I'm not saying you have to go out alone, but if you're going in a large group and you're not separating yourselves within that environment so that people can approach you, all you're doing is setting up this barrier. Whether you intend to or not, you're setting up a barrier. Why would any guy, if he has a choice, go to one of 10 women there, and even if one girl likes me, if her friends disapprove of me for whatever reason, they'll interfere. When I can go and approach that other girl over there who's only with one other friend who gets a chance to be alone because her friend goes to the bathroom or something.
So it's a little safer. A whole lot safer.
It's a lot safer. Why would I put myself through that? I'm nervous enough. I got to go out there and approach and approach and approach. Ladies, make it easier for men to approach you or you end up alone.
That's a very good point.
It's a very good point.
So groups don't work. So we've discovered by two different people, right?
And for the guy, is there a way to do it? Yes, there is. Make friends with somebody within that group. If there happens to be a guy within that group, you make friends with the guy in the group and you ask them the question, how does everybody know each other here? That'll let you know who's single, who's taken.
That's a good one too. How does everybody know each other? You sound like a really fun. You seem like a really fun group. How do you all know each other?
Exactly.
That's a great approach to go into a group.
I know.
Okay, good. I was going to say penetrate.
I am the best.
You know what you're doing. Here's another one. This is from Amy, who says, if women don't want to feel like they owe him anything for supper, maybe they should pitch in for the bill.
I actually really like Amy right now. Amy, you know what, Amy? If you call in, I really like Amy to get the ticket to come.
You want her to have a ticket? Okay.
I want her to have a ticket. I think that's fantastic. Yes, if you don't want to feel owing to anybody, pay your own way, which is why I always suggest that the first few dates are something really inexpensive. The cost of a cup of coffee, even if you end up paying for somebody else, won't break the bank.
Right. And I do think that a coffee date as a first date is an ideal date.
It's fantastic.
I agree with that.
If things really progress where it's like, wow, this conversation's great, I don't want it to end, you can turn it to dinner. You can turn it into lunch. You can turn it into going for
I remember the first date with my husband was a quick, like it was a coffee, kind of a brunchy date thing. So I knew that I had an out by saying I have a family thing, but the date ended up to an afternoon of pool, to a dinner at night. The date lasted like 15 hours.
You just wanted to spend time together.
That's right.
And that's the best way to happen.
That was great.
That's what happens.
So you can start with the coffee date, see how it all goes, and then you can decide if you want it to go further than that.
All right. Can we get Amy to call in?
Amy, if you want the ticket, give us a call because we need to know if you want to go, first of all. Okay, and actually, speaking of which, RJ wants to know, can you give the details about the solo a duo again? I missed a bit of information. So this is actually, maybe you could talk about it in general, the solo a duo, because they do different things.
Soloaduo.com, presented by Chantal Tardif.
That's the old solo, Vivre en Solo.
Vivre
like
en
this
Solo,
show. Okay.
yeah. The Vivre en Solo conference that happened a couple of years in a row, which I got to speak on stage. She's now doing conferences every week, happens every Sunday. There's a brunch every Sunday. You can buy your tickets through, I believe it's Eventbrite, on the soloaduo.com website. And I'm scheduled
every single Sunday.
Every single Sunday, there's someone speaking.
Mostly in French, except for what you're doing.
And I'm the only Anglophone on on the stage, but that's okay. Actually, my presentation will also be partly in French too.
Oh, okay.
So for people out there, qui veut que je parle français, je peux parler français, c'est pas un problème.
Okay.
And all of my slides will be there. And I'm planning to do something fun.
Okay.
We're going to play the charisma game where everybody has to meet everybody in the room. And maybe somebody will find a Friends with Benefits if they attend this event. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping people are going to make connections. I'm going to give a quiz.
Why do they have to meet a Friends with Benefit? Why can't they just meet somebody they want to actually have a relationship with?
Because the entire premise is how to manage casual sex between friends and how to turn a Friends with Benefits into a serious partner.
How to turn it. Okay. But they may just be interested in that, but really secretly want a real relationship.
Anything is possible, but that's not for me to dictate. I'm going to give them the opportunity to meet a bunch of people in the room. There's going to be a multiple choice quiz, and everybody's going to be shouting out. Maybe we'll have some prizes. It's going to be a lot of fun. I am looking to make this a lot of fun, and no question is too taboo.
Okay, so then they better just mark their calendar, because really it's a save the date call, because we'll be talking about it. I mean, Frank, we're going to see each other at least another 3, 4, 5 times before that event. So
You never know.
Well, the only way is if you drop dead, and thank God, let's hope that never happens, right?
I would hope so.
Okay,
yes.
and
Thank
then
you.
that way you could at least go and do your thing,
appreciate
or
your concern for my
unless the show disappears, whatever. Okay, so I hope that answers it. So make it easier. Really, men have become very lazy. I just went on a first date with a guy I met online. He let me plan the first date, and at the end of the date, he left it up to me to decide whether there would be a second date. No initiative from him whatsoever. I see a huge red flag.
Oh boy, basically she had to mother him, and that turns her off because she has to basically lead this guy who doesn't want to grow up.
She wants a leader.
She wants a leader. She doesn't want to mother him. Guess what though? This guy was probably beaten down in his upbringing by feminism that said, you must respect women. Women are capable of leading. Women are capable of doing everything a man can do. So what was the message that good guys got from that? When I go on a date, I just want to make her happy. So whatever you want to do is okay with me. Well, what do you
I don't think it's just because of the feminist stuff. He could just be a wuss.
Ask men. No, it's not because he's a wuss. Chances are that without feminism, he would have been a nice guy who understood that when I'm on a date, it's my job to lead. It's my job to make things happen. Now, these same really good guys are so afraid of offending women that they're turning them off. Why? Because a woman says, what do you want to do? And what does he say?
Whatever you want to do.
Whatever you want to do. I don't know. What do you want to do?
Yeah, you got to be able to make a decision.
That is the biggest turnoff to this woman who's writing in. It's not that men have become lazy. Men have been emotionally beaten down. This is a result. If you want the man to be assertive, tell him.
Okay, you make the decision, guy. That's it, okay?
Just tell him, look, I'd like you to take charge on a date. You decide what it is, and I'll go along with it. And here's the test, ladies. If he makes a decision, and you counter it, and you say, well, I didn't really want to go to that restaurant, you've just discouraged him from ever being assertive with you again.
Right. And it's true. Being able to make a decision, or at least coming off like you can make a decision, is important. More of your text messages coming in, and we will answer them right here on Dating Dilemmas on CJD 800.
You're listening to Passion with Dr. Laurie Betito, the podcast. Hear the show live weeknights 10 to 11 on CJAD 800.
Frank, that kind of sounds like you sometimes. you do that voice. Frank Kermit joins me. Here, Frank, this is for you. What Frank said about feminism is 100% true, especially in college where there's a lot of, quote, men don't understand consent rhetoric.
Yeah, actually, if you look in the United States of America, all it takes is an accusation for a man to get in trouble, get suspended, and nothing has to be proven. The accusation alone is enough to ban a man from campus and from classes. It's really getting ridiculous.
So, not that rape is anything to laugh at. That's another thing, is that it does happen nonetheless, right? And too often. One in four women. That's a lot.
Yes, but that doesn't mean that it makes it okay for somebody who's innocent of it to face the consequences of it.
No, of course not. Of course not. Texter, I guess, responding to the guy who can't make the decision about the dates. Who wants a guy with raisinets? And I had to ask Frank, what does he mean?
Well,
Frank had to give me a little, visual with his fingers.
With that said, the guy who was struggling there, he wasn't struggling to approach a girl. He's trying to talk to a girl that's within a large group.
No, I don't think that's the one. I think this person is talking about not being able to make a decision about choosing a date, choosing a restaurant.
But
that's the guy with no balls.
We don't know if the guy's incapable as much as he just doesn't want to make her upset.
Fine. I get that, but the perception of the person on the receiving end is, gee, this guy has raisinets. That's what I'm, it doesn't matter what his intention is. It matters what the perception of the person is.
And this is why people have to stop with their double standards. Because if he's a really, really nice guy, he's damned.
Well, see, the person responded back. That's right. So
and if he's too much of a jerk, he's also damned. So come on, know what it is you want, and when you get it, be grateful that you're getting it. And the way to solve that, really, and we've talked about this before. If there's something you want, you have to communicate it. If you want him to be more assertive, if you want him to change,
straightforward with what
be
you
more
want.
straightforward. Stop waiting for him to read your mind.
Yeah, that's something people, unfortunately, women are more guilty of than anything else. Okay, here's a question for you, Frank. Is it good to be persistent with a woman to go out with me? We have been friends now for over 25 years, and I'm recently separated, and we started talking again. She finally gave in, and we are going out on our first date on Saturday. She finally gave in. But to me, those words don't sound so good.
Okay, let's not look at the way he expressed himself. Let's look at the intent of his communication. He's basically asking, is it good to be persistent? The answer is, it depends how you are persistent.
Right. It could come off, unfortunately, as not just creepy, but also as
illegal.
Stalkish.
Okay?
Right.
You could be doing something illegal depending on how you are persistent. And with that said, at some point, the best way to turn on somebody that doesn't want to go out with you is to go out with somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And that has been an absolute wonderful way. Because once the other person realizes, wait a minute, they're not giving me attention, they're not pursuing me, somebody else is dating them. Oh my God, somebody else found something in them that's valuable. What did I miss out? Oh, I gotta find out now.
Except they were friends, though. So,
but sometimes people are blinded by friendship. They're blinded by the friendship. They think, I want to preserve this friendship. Hello, wake up, people. When somebody finds their significant other, your friendship doesn't matter as much. It'll always go down. It'll always be less important.
On that note, Frank, you're getting very excited.
I am. I'm having a great time. I love the interaction.
I know you love answering questions. You're like me. I also love getting the questions and just spontaneously answering them without necessarily having a topic to discuss. More with Frank, and then we just have a couple more minutes left, so we will be able to take a couple of calls and answer more of these text messages here. You're listening to Passion on CJAD 800.
You're listening to Passion with Dr. Laurie Betito, the podcast. Hear the show live weeknights 10 to 11 on CJAD 800.
Dating dilemmas tonight on the program. Once a month, Frank Kermit joins us to talk about dating issues. Kayla joins us on the program. Hi, Kayla.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good.
What's your question?
Listen, I had a question for Frank. I think I'm in the dating world, and I'm finding that even having a profile on site, when I meet up with somebody who has less than, an average education, like you have to answer a question where it says type of education, you can put PhD, master's, bachelor's, associate degrees in some university or high school, that the ones that have the less education tend to, as soon as we start talking, within 2-3 minutes, it's just the conversation is downgraded to something sexual.
Huh.
And, to a point where I want to say, listen, Napoleon, you can't talk to me that way. I'm looking for somebody that, has the same, maybe not necessarily the same level of education, but I
same
know
intellectual capacity.
Intellectual capacity, but that can hold a conversation that's related to thoughts and ideas without, turning somebody off. I guess some women like that and they're okay with it, but for me, I just find it very offensive. And I think it's with the internet. Obviously things go quicker. Like I can call a friend right now and meet them at second cup, within a couple of minutes, whereas before it used to take a lot more time to arrange things like that. But what can I say to somebody like that? Or do I just let it go and say, this is just how they are. I can't be offended by when they act like themselves, and I'm looking for something a little bit more mature.
Okay, first of all, educational level does not necessarily dictate behaviors towards intelligence or behaviors towards bringing up sexual topics. A lot of people I know who are in the world of polyamory are actually masters and PhD educated people, and they're happy to talk about sex.
What's polyamory?
Open relationships, seeing multiple partners at the same time in an open fashion. Now, with all that said, if you have a personal boundary, write it into your profile and write it in, but write it in a compassionate way. Don't write it.
You have to wait 6 minutes before it gets sexual, not 3.
Well, if you say that, you're going to attract people because they're thinking you're making a joke.
Right.
You're going to attract people that way. You need to say something like, look, it takes me a little while to warm up to somebody. Please, for the first date, no sexual jokes. I would appreciate it a lot, and it'll go a long way to us having a second date.
Oh, I love that.
Okay, good.
How about that?
Yay!
Thank you.
All right, Kayla. Good luck. Keep us posted.
Bye.
Okay,
all
take
the best.
care. Bye-bye. And Amy did win the pass, right? She is going to contact you. So congratulations, Amy, for that. And anybody else who's interested in the event that Frank is speaking at, which is all the way in June. But I have a feeling that it will get sold out, so we're letting people know about it now. It is, you have to go to soloaduo.com.
And if you go to franktalks.com, you're going to see a banner on the homepage. Just click on that.
Oh, it'll be there, right. Okay, that's easier, I think,
Yeah,
for
franktalks.com. There'll be a banner. You click there, you buy a ticket. Only 100 seats are available.
Right, so it's limited edition of Frank. Right, there you go. Frank, thanks so much. We will see you again next month.
This was fun. I love reaching out to the audience.
It was really fun. Thank you very much. Thanks to David Simon and Master Control, and thanks to all of you for sending in your questions and your comments. News is next on CJD, followed by Joey Elias and The Comedy Show. Have a wonderful rest of the night, and please remember life is short, so do take the time to smell the flowers and indulge your passions.
Listen to Passion with Dr. Laurie Betito, live weeknights 10 to 11 on CJAD and CJAD.com.
Need help with love, sex, dating and relationships? Visit franktalks.com.
Remember to sign up for the Coping with Loss newsletter and get weekly supporting messages to help you manage your bereavement, grief, and mourning. You are not alone. Sign up at franktalks.com now.
If you need help with your relationships, my buddy Frank, he's got some tips. Just go to franktalks.com. His advice is better than your mom's. He knows what you're going through, 'cause Frank has been there too. So log on to franktalks.com, franktalks.com.